right, I didn't break it. Boy, that's a good start.
You probably could also use this if you would.
Okay, well, whatever one works.
All right, well, I'm getting done now.
Did you want me to get the over to?
Don't worry too much about that, because I think that will be.
Yeah, I'm only going to use that on a couple slides.
Okay.
So, yeah, fill in a little bit. I worked, even though I was an engineer going through school, I spent 14 to 15 years of my career in marketing. And that was quite a career shift, going from designing and building things to going and selling things and marketing things. And I really enjoyed that. And I think that marketing is a very interesting area when you're taking a look at when you have something to provide, like a service, or obviously something to sell. And so I have a couple goals for today. And like Joanne said, I'm going to talk about 3 areas, but if there are other areas that you want to talk about the corporate world, I'm here. I've been in it for a while. Hopefully we'll both learn something from today. The goals for today is I want to discuss some basic principles in marketing, just to kind of give you a little bit of a primer, talk about it, give you an idea of why it's important, some of the basic principles you need to learn, and then hopefully spur some ideas, and if you want to go into that particular area, you can. Let's see which one. Whoops. Which one is the next one?
That's just a regular one.
Oh.
So you want to get it from there?
No.
The arrow should show up on the bottom.
There we go. Okay, I got it.
I got it.
Then I want to go into succession planning. Succession planning can take many forms. But I'm going to focus on employees, but you could also use succession planning in taking a look at if you're a nonprofit and you have a board of directors, how you're going to replace people on your board. Some companies have even gone to succession planning in the sense of if you have a supplier that you really need, what happens if that supplier goes away? Can't meet something. So some of the principles in finding and in doing some succession planning can be expanded to take a look at a lot of different areas. And then the last area is performance appraisals in business. I've done this class for Professor Hessmiller a couple times, and this is something that I've added over the years because I think it's a very important thing if you're an employee to know about good performance appraisals. And obviously if you get into management, like all of you, I believe, hope you are, having a good performance appraisal system can really, really pay off. Having a bad one can be an absolute disaster. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And like I say, performance appraisals, it's the good, the bad, and the ugly. And it really is. So we'll talk a little bit about that. To get started, let me just ask you a very basic question. Even though we're going to have questions at the end, but I want to start off with a question for you. Do you think social service organizations, nonprofits, need to market themselves? Why or why not?
Yes, because then you can reach your target customer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you think of a case maybe where you don't need to market? Hearing none, that's actually a good answer. Because no matter what you are supplying the public, whether you're supplying a good, a service, if you don't get the message out there, nobody knows what you are providing, you're not going to have anybody at your door. So having marketing in some way is important for almost every single organization. There's a good book, and I'll just note this, that there's not too many books that are geared for nonprofit organizations and marketing. There's a book by Philip Kotler, Kotler. Philip Kotler has written what many think is the Bible of marketing for-profit businesses. But he also wrote a book with Alan Anderson, It's called Strategic Marketing for Nonprofit Organizations. That is an excellent book if you want to learn about marketing for nonprofits. It really takes the whole marketing thing and really gears it for nonprofit organizations. It's an excellent book. An excellent book. I'd like to go over some basic marketing principles. Like I say up here, marketing is not just advertising and getting a product to a customer. That's sales. Okay, somebody walking around and selling you a car. That's sales. Seeing an ad on TV and saying, you must come here, and here is why you must come here to buy this thing that you need. That's marketing. That's marketing. So you can say, in a way, sales is a result of marketing rather than the other way around. Because obviously sales is not, you're not really trying to market things through sales, you're trying to get people in the door. And that sales, whether you're trying to promote a service or whether you're trying to sell an actual good. And marketing is part of an overall strategic plan. And I have done courses in business schools in the past related to strategic planning. And coming up with a very comprehensive strategic plan that includes a separate strategic marketing plan, if you're starting an organization or if you're trying to market something brand new, is absolutely critical. And it links, and it's exactly what you said, it links the customer need to the product or service in which you're providing. And that's the essential link. And there's some obvious good marketing, and there's bad marketing. And let me use one of the most successful companies around as an example for both. Apple. Apple just had a launch of its new iPhone. How many of you have a brand new iPhone? Couple? One person has a new iPhone. Apple does excellent marketing. They create demand before the product actually comes out. Somebody gets a sneak peek of the new phone and they put it in a magazine or they put it on social media. Excellent marketing. There's demand. There's people waiting at the door for the first day to be the first person to have one. That's creating a demand for something without anybody actually having it and trying it. And now a bad example of marketing that Apple did, and this is Steve Jobs. If you remember when Steve Jobs first tried the new iPad, he went online, and this is going back about 5 years. He went on stage, he had the new iPad, he started hitting button, and it crashed. Right there on stage, a live telecast, it went down. And I'll never forget that. Because I wasn't watching it live, but I saw the clips of it, and you see the look on his face. And if you took a look at sales, like you took a look at sales right now of the new iPhone, they're astronomical. In fact, Apple just announced after the closing bell on Wall Street that their sales for the month have almost doubled expectations of what they thought they would sell the new iPhone. So their stock is up significantly. But when that mistake happened, people were very slow buying that first iPad because they saw it crash with Steve Jobs on stage. So he took a chance. So that's a little bit of a mistake in marketing. And there's a lot of examples of very bad marketing of products. And there's good marketing of products. Everybody's heard about, when Coke came out with their new formula Coke, how miserable that was. That was a miserable failure. And that was a failure because basically Coke says the thing that you have been drinking for 60 years is old and crappy. We have something better for you. And they never counted on that. What they counted on was a single thing. They did a blind taste test. They brought people in. They had old Coke and they had new Coke. They had them wrapped in, a white wrapper. They tasted it, and people preferred new Coke. So they said, hey, we got something, because Pepsi was starting to take market share. But what they didn't think was there was this connection that people had with Coca-Cola. It was not just taste. There was something else. People were connected. It's the drink that they grew up with. It's what they drank their whole life. So Coke came out and said, hey, we're getting rid of that, and we're just going to have this new Coke. It failed miserably. So what did they do? They brought back Coke Classic. New Coke, can't find it anymore. Absolute miserable marketing. Then there's excellent marketing. There's things that people buy that you would never think people would buy. When I was buying Christmas gifts for my kids, remember Cabbage Patch dolls? Who would buy an ugly doll like that? Excellent marketing. Pet rocks. My God, it was a rock in a box. Okay? But they made millions of dollars because they had marketing behind it. They created a demand for a product. So there are examples of good marketing and there are examples of bad marketing. But one thing marketing does involve research. And again, even though Coke did good research, they did the blind taste tests, they didn't take a complete view of how people thought emotionally about Coke. So you have to really do a lot of testing, you have to do a lot of research, and that research happens before, during, and after the product launch. And it's the same thing if you're doing if you're marketing a service. Is there enough market for it? Where do we need to be located? All those types of things have to be researched, and they have to be researched very well if you want to have a successful launch. And everybody in an organization markets for that organization. In fact, if you type in, and I like this, if you type in everyone in marketing in Google, you get 16 pages of results of different people who have made that quote. Because if you're out there and somebody sees you and they say, oh, where do you work? And you say, oh, I work at the Fayetteville Public Works Commission. They see that organization through you. So everybody is involved in marketing one way or another, because a lot of people will base their initial opinion of a product or service on you. If you work for an agency and you say that you work for that agency, they're not only sizing you up, so to speak, they're sizing that organization up because you are a representative of that organization. So remember that. If you're in an organization, marketing just isn't you or a couple of other people. You need to involve the entire organization in what your plans are. You want their buy-in. You want to get them excited about it. Because if they're out there in the community and they're promoting positive things about it, what are you doing to me?
Actually, I don't know what I'm doing.
Well,
I was trying to get this thing to work. I was
Well,
hoping you would notice that I screwed up.
they noticed. They laughed. And now it's on video forever.
Oh, no. Are you doing that?
No,
Am I doing it?
you are.
Okay, okay. I'm trying to
Okay.
go back.
We'll try to get past this.
Okay.
Okay. If you read any marketing book, you have what's called the classic 4 Ps of marketing. Which one's forward?
On the left side.
Left side? This one? Forward.
This is what happens when you try to improve with technology.
There we go, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. If you read the books, you have the 4 Ps of marketing. And if you read new books, there's actually a 5th P. The classic 4 Ps of marketing are product, price, place, and promotion. The product is actually, what are you providing? And you have to define what you're providing, not in your terms, but in the terms of the customer. So when you're doing your research, you have to do your research and say, okay, how is the customer or who you are providing that service to going to view that product? And that's how you define it. I might define something as an iPhone. It's a phone. No, how does Apple market an iPhone? It's a lifestyle. It's a prestige. That's how they market that. So you have to take a look at it and how the customer is viewing that particular product. Next one is price, or I have here value. Because if you're providing a service, a lot of times it isn't price, it's the value of that. If you're a nonprofit and you're working with a homeless community, that is your value to the community. You are providing a service for the community that is helping homeless. If you do have a product, if you work for a hospital, you're providing health care. That is your value in there. So you have to, again, you have the product, and then you have what the value of that product is out in the marketplace, and you have to identify what that is. place, like they say, location, 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 okay? It's the location of it and the availability of that particular product. One of the examples that's in that Kotler book that I mentioned before, it talks about bad marketing or bad location, so to speak. There was an organization that was a nonprofit, and it dealt with homeless. And there was a wealthy benefactor who gave their home in one of the best parts of town to that organization for their headquarters. What a miserable failure. Because that organization helped the homeless. They were located downtown, close to their constituency. People could walk in, get help, get assistance. They were donated this beautiful office in the suburbs. Okay? Miserable failure. Again, it's location. People thought, oh great, we finally have a wonderful office. We could bring people in. It's a wonderful facility. But it was the worst thing for the organization because they really didn't think through the consequences of what's going to happen. Because there were no buses that went from downtown to that neighborhood. People couldn't get there. So what did they end up doing? Selling that building and moving back downtown. So again, you have to think about your location. Are you getting the product to the people in the correct way? And promotion. Method for conveying that message. And again, this goes back to your target audience. How do you get that message out? If you're providing a service, referrals are extremely important. So getting flyers in doctors' offices or other agencies' offices, or having a relationship with other agencies that says, hey, if you give me your flyers, I'll put them in my office, I'll give you mine and you put them in yours. You're getting that message out, you're getting that promotion. Okay, if you're going, and let's use the homeless example again, if you're going for homeless, having a TV ad probably isn't going to get your message out that well. Radio ad, maybe. Very effective way is billboards on buses. Because it drives by communities. People can see them. They're very visible out in the community. So again, how you get your message out there and where you have your message is extremely important. The fifth P, which is something that's probably come about in the past 20, 25 years, is people. And what you need to do is you need to identify all of those who are impacted by your product. And that is not just necessarily the clients or the people who use it. If you're going out and getting grants, the grant provider is someone who's involved in your marketing plan. If you're using advertisers, they are. Your employees, like I said, employees are all part of the marketing strategy which you would have. So having those people involved and having a separate niche kind of plan for how you're going to address the different people who are involved in the marketing plan are extremely important. Get this right this time. Excuse me. The first and most important step, and we've kind of talked about a little bit, is who are your target customers or clients? And you have to do this in the context of doing good research, having demographics, and then also integrating that into the SWOT analysis and that strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and I'll describe those in a second. But you want to make sure that as you identify what your target audience is, that you're not having it so finite and so small that your audience is too small and maybe can't be supported. Or, on the worst cases, you don't want it too big. Because if your organization, and there's not a lot of organizations that have a lot of extra people sitting around doing nothing, it's usually everybody is fighting for those resources. That you want to make sure that if your agency can handle, let's say, 10 additional clients a day, that when you take a look at your target audience, that you kind of have that in mind. So when you're targeting them, you may only want to target one neighborhood instead of 2 neighborhoods. Have a smaller audience, only get referrals rather than just taking walk-ins. All those kind of decisions go around what your capacity is. So you have to know who your target audience is, and then everything else flows from the identification of your target audience. When you're taking a look at your strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats, strengths and weaknesses is pretty much taking a look at your organization. What strengths does your organization have, and what weaknesses do your organization have to provide that service? A lot of times weaknesses may be you need training. Strengths may be that you're an established part of the community. Those are things that can all help in getting your product or service to market. Opportunities and threats are things on the outside of the organization. What opportunities are there out there? For example, if you say that you want to help out people in the homeless community, your opportunity is, well, there is a real need out in the community because 3 or 4% of the population is homeless. So there's a real opportunity there. A threat might be that there's already 5 agencies serving that market. So that's a threat. So again, identifying those things are extremely important. And the ultimate goal is to develop the best product for your targeted clientele at the correct price. And like I say here, you don't want to overvalue it, or you don't want to undervalue it. You have to take a look at your clientele and say, okay, here's where I need to be. And you want to make it available at the best place. Again, location, location, location. You have to be able to get the product to the individuals in the right way. And you want to promote it the right way. You want to get the word out. And then list all the people who are involved in the marketing and involved in that product. And I have just a few listed here. I have employees, regulators, your board of directors, people who are going to be giving you referrals. All of those are people that you need to consider when you're putting together a strategic marketing plan. Okay. Based upon your SWOT analysis, you want to develop your final product offering and prepare it. And this is a real critical piece that a lot of people miss when they develop a plan, is you have to have measurable goals to say, okay, here's what I'm going to label success, here's what I'm going to label I need to improve. Because if you don't have those measures within your plan, you're not going to know if it's effective or it's not effective. And you have to constantly monitor your success or your challenges, and then continually revise your SWOT analysis. A lot of people go back and they'll redo their whole marketing plan. If they say, hey, we're only getting 50% of the people in the door that I want to get in here, what's going wrong? You may have to do a survey of your clients. Well, I didn't hear about you. Okay, well, then you need to reassess how you're getting your message out. So it's extremely important to have that measurement and to constantly go back and forth and revise your plan. A lot of times your plan is a living, breathing document. If your plan is something that you do and you put it up on a shelf and do nothing else with it, you're going to have a miserable failure. So you have to constantly be revising it. So with that, do you want to turn that off and we'll do questions here, and then because we don't want to we want the other group to have their own questions.
What did you say? I hit again, the red button.